Hey, it's AFTERBUZZ TV, the Flash After Show. Tonight we're breaking down Season 2, Episode 18, called Versus Zoom, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yes.
You took Micheal Drew's line.
Oh, God. It's the Flash After Show, guys. AFTERBUZZ TV, and it's so good to be back after this little mini break. God.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Slay, Michael, slay.
Okay.
We're just so into the song. Should we do the show? Yeah? We ready? We got that out of our
I
system?
think the answer is clearly yes.
Yeah.
Is it yes or yas? Because I thought it was yas. But let's do some quick intros. But before we do, just know that you can tweet along with us. Roxy is on her phone.
For you guys, not just chilling on the phone.
Because we're boring her. They can tweet directly at you, but also use the hashtag ABTVFlash.
Yeah, and also I'm in the YouTube chat room right now, hanging out with you guys. Somebody said I'm a time remnant, and now my whole life is shaken up, and I don't know what's real.
Okay, just to make it easier for Roxy, if you're watching live and want to comment, let's do it in the YouTube chat, so it's all in one place for you. Yeah, and throughout the week, we love connecting with you. You can comment on iTunes, YouTube, subscribe, and do it there. Great, let's do some intros. I'm Jeffrey Masters. I tweet from Jeff Masters 1.
I'm Micheal Drew. I tweet from Michael_Drew, Michael EAL.
I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J, Taurijay.
And I'm Roxy Striar, and you can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar.
Thank you, Time Remnant Roxy.
Time Revenant
It's so confusing, Jeff.
How did she get here? Okay, people can't see her t-shirt, but I'm still like peeking in. I love it.
Oh yeah, a little Game of Thrones reference in my pocket.
Oh, Khaleesi, there she is.
This guy Aunt Verdi makes some shout out to him because he's awesome.
Hey, Aunt Verdi.
Yeah. Aunt_Verdi.
Fantastic.
Good shout out.
Cool. Let's get to Versus Zoom, the episode. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was like the entire map of the shows of like high points of confusion and excitement, and we got so much new information. What are y'all's kind of like initial thoughts though?
I was up and down. Like there were a lot of points where I thought it was a really good show. It was really awesome. But then I was confused. And there were points where I just didn't like certain moments. Where I was like, I don't know if I wish they didn't go in that direction.
Okay. I don't mind confusion as long as we get like a payoff at the end.
Right.
I think I didn't like some of the payoffs. I think that's what it is. I think I was confused, and then when I got the payoff, I was like,
I think we're waiting for them still, the payoffs.
Yeah, good point.
What do you think, Tauri?
I mean, I liked it. I thought there were a lot of really good moments. And I also liked that we finally got answers to a lot of the questions that we had. Because I spent the last, 3 weeks just agonizing, trying to, guessing and theorizing, tweeting with all you wonderful people, trying to figure out, what the answers were, and we finally got some.
Yeah, I agree that we did have some things answered. Even more questions came up in my mind. I made them pause this episode 15 times because I think it was confusing in a good way. And wait, we are finally coming full circle on things. Now I'm almost trying to poke holes, not to be mean, but to figure out, does this work? How did they do this? How long have they known this is what was happening? Just so many feels and thoughts. Overall, though, I thought this was one of the best episodes we've had so far because I was leaning forward. I could not miss a single second. There was no point where I felt bored or we needed to move faster through scenes. I think everything was there on purpose, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I loved it. And, I like that we kicked off the episode. He's trying to gain speed with the tachyon device. He's in Keystone City, the original Flash's home. And my favorite part was that they tied in the Supergirl crossover. So we can assume...
That was your favorite part?
I thought it was...
Did I use the word favorite?
Did he just say one of his favorite parts?
I liked... you know what? I'll own it, sure.
Rewind it. Do we have a clip?
Yeah. No, I'm not. That wasn't my favorite. I'm sorry if I said that. I don't remember.
Don't take it back now, Jeff. Don't take it back now.
It was your time remnant. I just think it was weird, Jeff, though.
But the thing is, I like that they timed it in.
Yeah.
They tied it in, yeah.
But why didn't he say it to everybody else?
Yeah, that's the only part that bothered me.
Yeah, it was strange that he didn't come back, and I know they had a lot to deal with, but yo, just took a trip to see my girl, Supergirl. She totally threw me back here. That's what happened.
Cisco, you would have loved her. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it later during lunch.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
even like, I'll tell you more about it later. I also think I understand that this is because we're on different networks and we have different timelines, but I'm so far past this in Supergirl now. Like, we just had the season 1 finale of Supergirl. We are episodes past that. My mind is already so... I don't want to spoil Supergirl for anybody, but I'm not thinking about the Flash at all anymore. Like, that was cool, but that was eons ago. So this was so strange because I almost wouldn't have even noticed unless he had the tachyon device. I would have been like, oh, he went for a quick run.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't bother me, you know. I'm not watching any show like live when it airs. I'm so behind on everything, so timelines don't bother me. And I think that just like Flash has 23 episodes. It's been going on for a long time, a lot of breaks. I think they just couldn't probably make the timelines match up for these other shows, and I think it's probably not a priority when they're not on the network.
But then we need a reference.
Yeah. And essentially, like the last 3 weeks, I mean, I think they probably filmed the show in coercion with Supergirl, but there's been like a 3-week vacation the last 3 weeks, so that kind of probably threw everything off.
But why do you think he got back to Star Labs and didn't say, yo, I just like defeated this villain?
Well, I think it might be twofold. And this is from like a non-in-story standpoint, in that like, one, it could have been that they hadn't filmed this episode, or they hadn't filmed the Supergirl episode yet, so like they couldn't reference things that they didn't know happened.
Okay, Tauri, but I just met Supergirl. Like, they had to know that was gonna happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But then it would beg more questions, which also kind of takes me into the second reason, in that they want to. I would assume that they would want to make sure that people who aren't watching Supergirl don't feel confused or like feel like they are missing something. So essentially, just having the portals was a reference enough to where it's like, one day if you're watching Supergirl and you missed this whole congruent thing, then you could be like, holy crap, and you can go back and watch it, but it doesn't take away from the episode that's already happening.
You're a total smarty. If I was watching Supergirl years from now, I would have no idea that's when it took place. He just went on a fast lap somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I never would put those pieces together later on.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes it confusing because you see him technically teleport. You see him disappear, then reappear, and he doesn't say anything about it
Yeah.
to Cisco. Like, hey guys, you saw when I just disappeared and came back? Like,
Yeah, whatever. I guess we can move on from that, but it just was a little bit bothersome.
Yeah.
me off.
I get it.
Oh, strong words.
Yeah.
What did we think about the moment where we're talking about doppelgangers and Barry has the luck? And it suddenly dawns on him that Cisco's doppelganger was Reverb and had, how do we explain the powers to like create a breach almost?
I love those moments where every time someone says something and then he suddenly gets an idea like, I know how to solve the problem. Thank you for mentioning that one thing.
Yeah.
I think that was great. Roxy said something about how the doppelgangers, like, why does everyone automatically figure that because you're a doppelganger, you're automatically going to have those powers?
Yeah, so here's my kind of problem. I guess this comes up many times through the episode, so I'll try to say it now and reference it later on. But I'm not understanding, if you have a doppelganger, what you have to have in common and what you could have nothing in common. So, for example, Barry Allen had essentially nothing in common with his doppelganger. Granted, maybe Barry Allen on Earth 1, if the particle accelerator never exploded, might have been similar to Barry Allen on Earth 2, but I still don't feel like they were the same when we knew Barry Allen for a second before the particle accelerator exploded. So I think they're very different, and they don't have the same powers. Vibe and Reverb, we're supposed to assume everything Reverb can do, Vibe can do, which is confusing to me. And later on, the Hunter-Zolomon thing, also a little confusing as the doppelgangers. So I just think that they kind of use it for convenience sake. Like, oh, by the way, Vibe, you can totally do this because we saw Reverb do it. Well, why the hell does that mean that? That doesn't make any sense.
Also, Caitlin and Killer Frost.
Right. But
Caitlin has showed no inkling of power, where Vibe has shown like a brief semblance of Reverb's powers.
But they got their powers in different ways.
Do we know how Reverb got his?
Well, he got his the same way that anybody on Earth 2 would have gotten theirs, which was
Still a particle accelerator. I
right.
believe. Yeah.
But different, like the particle accelerator over there caused different powers to happen, like based on where you are and what exactly you were affected doing. Like they weren't doing the same thing at the same time and had the same experience. And Reverb got his way quicker, I think.
And I think to answer your question and your initial confusion, it is purposely vague so that they can keep breaking rules that they haven't like set in stone yet. You know, to create things like this.
Yeah. I mean, and you can also assume that since we had both Reverb and Vibe in the same realm, and Reverb specifically said, your powers are just like mine, then that was kind of planting the seed to say that he would be able to do this down the line.
Right. I want to be clear because somebody in the chat says, why are you guys hating on the episode? It moved the story along with also giving us a Zoom origin. I absolutely agree. What we're doing is analyzing the episode. We're talking about it and putting all the pieces together. We are an after show, so we go in depth into it. I think that all of us, or I know that you were on and off, but I really enjoyed parts of this episode. So I'm not trying to be negative anyway. I'm really, because it is so interesting to me, I'm trying to figure it all out with you guys.
Right.
I think it was like a high point in the season for me.
I agree.
There's just so much to unpack, and we got so much information, which I love, which is I think why we have to like piece apart so in depth.
To piggyback off of what Roxy just said regarding the doppelgangers, not just in the powers, but in personality, like how Cisco is afraid to, not to jump too far ahead, but is afraid to become Reverb.
I guess that would be nature versus nurture, though.
But like there's never been any indication that someone's personality from the like a doppelganger's personality or an Earth 1 personality, they're exactly gonna end up the same way. Like Kaylin isn't gonna become killer for us. Like one's either a killer and one's not.
Right.
So I'm just confused as to why everyone's always suddenly feeling like, what if I become like him? Like no one's like him. Like it's a different Earth.
Yeah.
There's no reference to that. There's no reference to us being the same.
Are you saying in regards to Cisco becoming like Reverb?
Yeah, like he's afraid that his personality will be like Reverb.
No, I think he's afraid that his like relation to the power and how it'll affect him will take him down that route because he sees that it's an option.
Right.
But why would he think that?
It's because at the core, which was kind of proven by Killer Frost's turn, at the core, everyone, Earth 1 or Earth 2, start the same. They have the same relative like traits. It's just a matter of what becomes more heightened or what develops over time. So like Earth 2 Barry was like Barry in that like he was a little arrogant. Our Barry is arrogant but in a more like innocent way, whereas like Earth 2 Barry was arrogant in a scholastic way.
Okay.
But then think about even like an Iris though.
Yeah.
They were different and they were similar.
Yeah. So like at its core, it's also like how you see yourself reflected in other people, in that you know that your parents or people who you interact with act a certain way, and sometimes you see yourself in them and you're like, well, could I ever become that?
Yeah.
Or could I ever go as far as that person did? And I think that's the issue that he's coming across, because he's seen it, but also it's had his own face.
Yeah, I think it's just that it's not the future. You know what I mean? It's not like he saw the future and he has to avoid that. It's a completely different guy. It's a different him with the same face, but it's a different him.
Yeah.
And he has a completely different personality.
But I think it opens a door in your mind saying that in some alternate Earths I'm evil, and like that's a person that's very close to who I am. You know? So I think it just has to spark that twinge.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that this whole debate that Cisco was having sparked for us as viewers an amazing scene with Barry. When they had the Anakin Skywalker metaphor and Darth Vader and Barry comforting him.
I loved this moment. It almost could have been like a standalone short for me. I think that their chemistry is so strong, but I totally understood that. Like I was thinking, all right, he got scared of the bad guy and he scurried off, but this was a way cooler explanation, and I felt like they really spent time with like, I'm worried. We've never really seen Barry do that. We've never seen Barry be like, ooh, should I go faster? This is a scary skill.
That and like the whole role reversal for both of them. You know, Cisco's the man in charge. He has all the answers. He's the one we go to when we need something. And to have him doubting it and then allow Barry to step up, I thought it was an awesome scene, and it reminded me in award ceremonies, like before when they're announcing the 5 names and they show a clip from the movie. Like I thought this was like Barry's clip. You know, like you can choose like whatever you want. Like you're not this person, and it was just so like honest and like simple and subtle. I just thought it was an amazing scene.
Yeah.
I can't believe how incredibly polarizing this episode is. Like, you guys in the live chat right now, 50% are like, this is the best thing that's ever happened, and 50% are like, what are they doing? And that's incredible that, you know, we all sat down, watched the same episode, and that it's getting this kind of response. You guys are killing it in the chat right now. I can't wait for you guys, for us to get to some of the more of the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and speaking of the meat, I think we should start there. That's the main course. So I would say like the pork chop of the episode was the Hunter Zolman backstory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, Jeff. I like that. I like how you, I didn't know where you were going, but all right.
You
So
did it?
before before we killed the pig, it was a baby pig, and that pig was Hunter.
And it was adopted on One Earth.
And when it went to the farm, which is the orphanage. No, okay, so stop with the metaphor. I thought it was a cool way to open up the episode.
This is I watch almost every CW show. You guys know that I'm like a crazy CW nut. This is the darkest thing I've ever seen on a CW show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
rough.
It was a little dark. When he pulled out the shotgun.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to pick this. I didn't think they were going to go with this because I knew it was on the table, but I thought they would be on the table and then quickly brushed off the table and put under the rug because, oh my gosh, he saw his father shoot his mom dead. And we watched him watch that.
Yeah.
Does it get darker than that?
I can't name anything.
And then he's taken to like the world's worst orphanage. Where as soon as he goes in, they're like, "Hey, no one likes you. Come with me." Like,
Oh my gosh. The guy who brings him there is like, yo, this horrible thing just happened. He says it, and she doesn't flinch
Yeah.
Yeah.
with her clipboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his family doesn't. She said no one in his family wants him. Just like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh goodness.
Oh my god, I know. And then during this whole entire scene with the orphanage, the line from Wicked just like flashed my head. Are people born wicked, or do they have wickedness thrust upon them? And Hunter Zolman had it thrust on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's true, but I always do kind of have a hard time with that, like especially when later on we do get to a scene where we realize they kind of are similar, or went through similar experiences at least, and it doesn't mean that everybody who goes through that needs to turn out evil. Like, it's not justifiable. You can't say because I watched my dad shoot my mom, it's chill that I'm a serial killer. Like, that's why. So now that you know why, you have to understand and respect what I am. That's not the way life works.
No.
Like he really takes it and runs. Like wasn't his body count? It was like 23 murders.
Yeah.
Like he really took it. It was like, yeah, screw it, this is me, and just went for the record.
And he went to like the drastic, horrible scenario of a serial killer, and Barry, saw his mom die. They thought it was his father, which is traumatic. And he had this amazing mentor take him in, Joe West, and he became Barry Allen that we know today.
Yeah.
But do you guys believe if Joe hadn't taken him in? I mean, maybe we don't know the answer, but if he hadn't, and he had gone to an orphanage, even if it had been a horrible orphanage, do we feel like Barry Allen could have possibly in any world turned into Zoom?
I think so. Because, I mean, that's the overarching theme of this episode. Like, kind of jumping back to the conversation with Cisco, it's like the main thing is that the people who are around you, the people you make friends, make you who you are and keep you honest. And so Zoom was alone, and so he had no one to put him to help him become a better person. And so, like, yeah, he became evil. Not like it's a given that situation will make you evil, but it's more understandable. And Barry has always had a giant like support system, and so he had to step up from the very beginning.
I think his father didn't kill his mom, so he still had a loving relationship with his father, even though Barry's father goes to jail wrongly.
But at the time, he didn't know conclusively.
Well, that's true.
Right.
I forgot. Yeah, that's true. That was the accusation. I don't think he would have turned into a murderer, but I do think he could have become a criminal.
Right.
Maybe like just a jaded thief.
Yeah.
Hard like 23 murders. I can't put that on his record.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 murders, an assault, maybe some arson, but not 23.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like your bargaining.
Yeah. Like 23. That's hefty.
No, it is.
I just have to. Here's my problem. I have a problem when like the big serial killer of the entire season is a psychopath, because then there's not a reason.
Yeah, it's very black and
there's
white.
and then there's not any reasoning with them. You know, we'll jump ahead to like he snags Caitlyn, who we don't know whether or not her beautiful words had any effect on him.
Yeah.
But it just, if they did, it doesn't make it fall in line with who his character is, which they're setting up as a complete psychopath. And that just isn't, to me, like the most interesting choice for a villain.
I will say the one thing out of this episode that really stood out to me that I didn't like, and you can call this hating, I didn't like this, was how when his moments with Caitlyn, how it looked like it affected him, because everything they were doing with him before, he seemed like a black and white psychopath, like he was just lying. But when Caitlyn speaks to him, it kind of seems like it was getting to him, like, oh, he has a heart, and that kind of felt out of place to me.
Well, I feel like she may be the first person to ever give him any sort of attention or love, and I think that could be realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also felt like she reminded him of his mother, so he had like super deep rooted mommy issues.
Freaking Tauri.
I'm just
You
saying.
keep getting to my soul. Every time I have an issue, you keep digging in, and that makes perfect sense, by the way. Mm-hmm. That's good.
And speaking of the mom, I just want to know, like, logistically, where do we think they got the life-size photos of the mom and dad, and like how fast they have them printed on cardboard and just like set up like that?
I mean, have you seen how fast Cisco can come up with some of these costumes? Like, if he can make these costumes that quick, they have some sort of 3D printer there.
Oh, okay, that makes some more sense then.
I'll
cross my question off.
And they have like E2 Google or something.
I only bring it up because Zoom crosses into the breach that Cisco's awesomely depicted powers with the blue hand. I thought that looked so cool.
Yeah.
They did an awesome job with that.
That looks
beautiful.
amazing. Zoom crosses over. They have this chase, and it's pretty thrilling. And then they get to like the thing that Barry had set up, and the parents start popping up, and it just was a little bit of like, oh, really?
Yeah.
I just was like so on board.
I get what you're saying. I wasn't quite on board at that point yet because it still is a little confusing to me. Now, this is where my mind started to go as I'm trying to watch how they're dealing with this, and they figured everything out, and they're running around chasing him, and there's this whole plan. My mind kept going to a couple different places. Number one, Caitlyn, he told you that Hunter Zolomon was adopted. So you're telling me that these adopted parents named their kid Hunter Zolomon, which are different parents than the Earth 2 parents. So wouldn't that not make any sense?
You mean they'd have different names?
They would have different names. Of course they would have different names, unless his parents named him and then he was adopted.
He could just lie.
That doesn't.
Yeah, I think
Or
adopted
he's
thing
not
was a
adopted
lie.
at all.
Yeah, I think he could just lie. I think that was just his way to say they have a different name.
People get adopted quite a bit, like can keep their name, like 50-50.
Yeah, I guess this whole thing. I was thinking that, and then also when we're running around the scene we're talking about that you were talking about with the pop-ups, it was like you're sitting there with him for so long. Like, Barry, how long are you gonna have a conversation with Zoom for?
Oh, when they trap him. The
You're
live thing.
you're straight chilling. Yeah, right after the cardboard cutouts, and I'm just thinking like, God, there's no way that this goes okay. Like, when have you sat that long with a villain? They haven't figured out a way to completely screw with you.
What was their plan at that point?
I think I mean, I'm assuming that they were going to try to
Pipeline him?
Pipeline him, yeah. Because they had him locked down to this one position. Maybe they had some kind of freeze ray or something like that. But yeah.
I thought he was leading him into where they were with the guns.
Yeah.
That's what I thought the plan was.
He was like, hey, he's coming. So
And
I
then
guess that kind of threw me
Zoom
off.
gives him a line, you can't fight the moonlight, a.k.a. you can't lock up the darkness.
Yeah.
Right. This is another great point from the chat, too. St. Pablo says, wait, so if Zoom had this all planned out, why the hell did he say we have a complication when he brought back Jay? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
And the darkness, yeah, that we should have opened up with, what is it, that Leanne Rimes song, like Can't Find the Moonlight?
Right.
Yeah.
I just said that.
Oh yeah, I was hanging with my friends in the chat. Sorry.
Echoing it. No, you're fine. When they showed the picture of Hunter Zolman with his beard and his like Charles Manson eyes, like reminding me of like Rasputin also, do we think that it is like just the device of comics, like you can't see who Barry Allen is in The Mask of Flash, like he took off the beard and no one recognized him? Is that what they're saying?
That was another one,
Yeah.
Jeff. That was a total another one.
Yeah, I think that was weak too.
That didn't bother me as much because like they set it up like Superman, you don't recognize the glasses on as Clark Kent, so it's kind of like a device of comics. But I needed it. It's just a little bit of a stretch for like Harrison Wells to think like, oh, clean shaven, this person that he automatically said everyone recognizes because we don't have serial killers.
Yeah, but you make a good point that they do this a lot. They do it on Supergirl like times 400, where
Right.
she doesn't even do like. Yeah, times 400. So I feel like you're right. We just maybe need to accept the fact that this beard is his cloak.
Well, he does look completely different. The haircut, no beard. He has the silver helmet.
Yeah, but this guy has your daughter kidnapped. You're telling me you've looked at this face a million times and you never once were like those eyes?
And he did say that he's instantly recognizable by everyone on Earth too.
I mean, I would argue that, I mean, people look different, especially people who are celebrified, who are like made out to be these things in like the publications. Like if you see them in person, like it's a lot less likely that you're going to recognize them face to face, especially if they change their look. Like there are many times where me myself, I'm not speaking for anyone else, will be in a place where a celebrity is there and does not register. Does not, and so like I feel like it's the same in that this person who looks a certain way and you've gotten accustomed to how they look and it's completely different, you wouldn't even know it.
I completely understand what you're saying, Tauri. However, if that celebrity had your family member kidnapped, you would notice when you saw them in public. Like somebody that you're watching on TV, maybe not, but somebody whose picture you've seen a million times, and now somebody who has your daughter, like that. It gives you more of a reason to have your eyes open a bit.
Yeah. While we're staring at it, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I guess to me, I feel like it wouldn't even register though, because that would be like me saying like someone took Micheal Drew and I'd be like, man, I bet OJ did it. Like just because like he's a well-known celebrity murderer allegedly. So that wouldn't be my first leap. So I guess for me, if I know that I have this specific being that has my daughter, it wouldn't really register, at least to me. Though, now I'm contradicting myself.
Plot hole?
Yeah, a little bit, because he mentioned when he was just going over Hunter's backstory, he was like, yeah, and then the particle accelerator exploded and created a monster, which implies that he knew that Hunter Zolman was Zoom.
Oh. I don't have any response for that.
Yeah.
I will say though that while they're going through the backstory and he said it inspired a podcast, is that Earth 2's like Serial? What are they talking about?
I know. I was thinking that too, and there was a lot of memes going around today, Jeff. I almost sent this to you earlier. Making a speedster, like making a murder, but with his face on it,
That's
with
funny.
with
That's pretty
zooms,
great.
which is like epic, and maybe that's what the podcast kind of was.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't have an answer for that, Tauri.
Jeff, you're supposed to have all the answers.
But
Maybe I'm hiding them.
if OJ did kidnap me and you spoke to OJ, but then you saw OJ in your face pretending to be someone else frequently to the point that you know him, I think you'll be able to make a correlation.
Maybe.
Right? Because he does know Jay. Like he has issues. Like Jay.
Did the glove fit?
I think it did.
Yeah.
I think it did, Jeff.
I don't have a clever segue, so let's talk about Wally for a second.
Fair enough.
Wally moves into the home.
I love Wally.
Do you?
Yeah, I love Wally. I think he brings like such a great aspect to the show, and I really feel like we were missing him. So I'm like kind of freaking out, nervous right now about where he is.
I love hearing that. Yeah, I think he brings an awesome dynamic.
Yes.
It's also funny seeing Joe West, who is the father of the year to Barry and Iris, having to navigate this like unfamiliar territory of fatherhood.
Yeah.
That's like just so interesting.
that's the thing. He's never trying to be mean, but I love tonight. He just is kind of like stupid sometimes and stuff. Not in a bad way, but just in a like, every kid's different. Oh yeah, I forgot. Like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
He's so good-hearted. I love him.
I kind of thought Wally was going to reject the offer. I thought it was going to turn into like so you want me to live with you? You want me to have handouts? I thought it was going to turn into that. But I was glad that he just reacted.
But it was cool to see that Barry is the one who read him correctly, because they were like fire and ice at first. And now Barry kind of gets it because Barry's a kid.
Yeah, and I forgot that Barry moved back in also.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, he's gaining a brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But not because the sister is his potential future lover. So they can't share a brother if they're going to be lovers.
you're right.
Every time a Wally has a scene with a villain and there's like some version of like a speed thing next to him, like a speed force or like a container, I keep getting excited. Like, is this it? Is this where he gets the...
Have we seen a lot of that?
Well, I mean, it happened with when they had the V9. Was it V9?
Yeah.
So every time they make references to like power being transferred, I'm like, it's happening. But then it doesn't happen. Then he just runs. He always leaves. Like, all right, I gotta get out of here.
I know.
Then he escapes.
Yeah, and then so I brought up Wally because we have to mention that Zoom kidnaps him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not want to read too much into things, but the fact that he wrote "your speed for Wally" on the wall just made me so angry, because I just imagine he doesn't know Wally from previous episodes. He has to ask, like, what is your name?
No, if he knows that he's the brother and he's there, then he
maybe
definitely...
he knows the Wally. Sure, and then he like writes it on the wall, and like his handwriting is like innately creepy.
Yeah.
And I just imagine him like making it a little bit creepier and like a little bit like shaking of the hand. And so I don't know, your speed for Wally, just... Am I being too critical?
I was curious as to how he knew his name too, because he doesn't know Wally.
He does. I mean, Jay has hung out with the whole family. They had Christmas together, I believe.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
Maybe I'm just being forgetful.
It's not. I don't think it's the name that bothered you as much. It's the fact that it looked like a kindergartner, like with chalk, kind of wrote something on the wall, like lunch money for cookies. Like,
yeah, it looked like the Charles Manson again, like writing with the blood on the wall.
yeah, as if they didn't know what he wanted in return. But that didn't bother me so much. I'll let it go because whatever. It was like a plot device, and we need to know.
But will you let go that Zoom said someone you cares about, like the Flash thing, versus the Flash cares about you?
That annoyed me, but I think the bigger story there is the fact that what is this, some kind of superhero and villain code that you don't out somebody? Like, the fact that he took such extreme measures to not say, because Wally straight up says, I don't know the Flash, and he's like, somebody you care about. He knows that Barry cares about Wally. Right. He's your brother, but instead he like beats around the bush. Wouldn't you think he would just want to be like, it's Barry Allen? Yeah. It's Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Was that a good voice?
That was great.
Good. Thank you.
It was like he was in the studio with us.
Yeah.
Wally locked up, is that back on Earth too?
No.
Yeah.
Or is that a second layer?
Yes.
So how is he crossing breaches?
I think the breach is still open.
Yeah,
that's what I was going with.
So.
Maybe that, or he's wicked fast now, so maybe he just ran there. Like,
no, this is pre-stealing of power. He gets Wally.
oh, right.
Because when Cisco opens a breach, Zoom crosses over, he sends Cisco away, then they do have a chase scene. The breach had closed visually.
Right.
You know, from what we saw. So I just was confused about that breaching of crossovers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people in the chat are confused with that too.
Okay, so Zoom comes back. We have the trade. We he brought Wally. I was like, what did he bring? He brought Wally, and then for like 10 minutes, we just stand around talking. I was really amped up about the information we got out of Zoom, but it was just so casual.
This was tea time.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Like straight up, yo, bro, want to grab a whiskey? Let's hang out and chat. You've been kind of messing with me a little bit, and I'm not down. I could have helped you, but like now,
Right.
What are you doing? Ridiculous.
I liked it.
Don't disagree.
I like you, Tauri.
I mean, it was terrible. No, I mean mostly because if we still had like I'm a monster beast time Zoom, then I would have been like, what is this? But now that there are more layers in that, like, he was this guy that was their friend and they're trying to figure out why he betrayed them or like what his deal is. I like that they were able to kind of sit down with a sense of like mutual respect but like smoldering anger underneath, and like try to hash it out, because it also allowed him to just narrate. And I like it.
I appreciated that.
I at least wish there was some movement to it, though. Like, even if they were just walking in circles, like Zoom's still trying to huff and puff and move around or whatever, just the two of them sitting there, it was like, get up.
And at this point, Barry still had power. Why didn't everybody just start shooting at Zoom?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Wally's escaped now, right? They've got Wally. Wally left. So why is everyone just under the impression, like, all right, here's my powers. Like, you're faster than him. You've already proven you can beat him one-on-one now. Like, why are you going to be honorable and give him... He's a villain who's a murderer. I mean, I didn't get that.
I completely agree, because I thought when he grabbed the thing and jabbed himself because he was overly eager, I was like, ooh, yeah, they tricked him. Whatever they put in there. But they didn't.
They were just completely honorable with it.
Why not?
Unless we don't know yet, and it is something like V10, you know, like the next version, and it's just making him fast temporarily.
Well, my whole question was, is Barry acting on the treadmill when he was like human again? He like fell over and was sweating for the first time. Although the preview for next week shows him without powers.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in watching The Flash without The Flash. Yeah. I will say. Maybe I'll give it a week. I mean, I'll give it as long as they want, because I love the show, but without getting annoyed with it, I'll give it a week. But are you guys going to want to tune in every week if it's like just Barry Allen?
As long as the story moves forward, I'm good. As long as it's not a filler and there's something happening with Zoom and we're getting information, like say we find out who the man in the mask is, say something like that, then I'm all good.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any good opinions on who the man in the iron mask is?
I thought it was a Jay, but now I thought Jay could split into different people. I don't know if it's that anymore. I don't know what's going on.
I think people are still thinking that.
That's what I was hoping for.
That maybe what we're not seeing in that room is that, like, when the dad shoots the mom, maybe there's a brother there, or maybe somebody did split, or maybe it's somebody who's close to Barry on Earth 1. It's got to be somebody that is explainable. It can't just be a rando.
Do you think it could be like Barry's father? No, he's too skinny. I don't know. Tell me what a time remnant is. I cannot remember.
Sorry.
I am.
I don't understand that whole thing either.
So he went back to get a version of himself, but in a different time period, in order to be him in that moment, so that he could grab and kill him, but it wouldn't really kill him because there were two of him at that time.
In Earth 2, like in Earth 9, Jay Garrick?
No, same Earth, just different time period. So he time traveled.
Right. What time period are you talking? Reincarnation?
Remember when Barry went back in time and sees little Barry?
Yeah.
So that's what he did.
So would that not be the same Hunter Zolman? And so he would die if he dies? If it's from an earlier time period of his life?
Though
he did. Go ahead.
I think in going back and grabbing the other Hunter, it essentially created a new timeline, and so that Hunter from the previous timeline is what died, and then the rest of time split off into a different section. So
okay, because in my original mind, he goes back, let's say 5 years, grabs that Hunter. Now his Hunter doesn't exist to be able to go back and grab somebody.
Right.
That's the problem with time travel, and always will be the problem with time travel when we're talking about TV shows. Think about that's the case for every single thing we've ever talked about, like going back.
Not really.
Yeah.
I think that Barry's been really careful not to mess up his own future too much.
Oh my God, there's no way.
But we've never never removed
think about
anybody from the
Piper
past.
Even. Yeah. Yeah. We have.
Who?
We've affected a lot of people. Like, you don't think that going back has removed anybody?
Affecting people and making changes, but we've never brought somebody from the past, to the future.
Or even on Legends of Tomorrow, which is the same world, the same Earth.
Right.
They all the time they'll time travel, and then they use this device to see if somebody's life is important, and if not, they kill them. It happens all the time on the show.
Right.
So yeah, we mess with it a lot. And that is the problem, because if he died then he would have been dead in the future, but not if it creates an alternate timeline. Some people in the chat before saw were calling it lazy writing, and that it doesn't work. So some people are with you that just doesn't work. I just feel like time travel rules, how the hell do any of us know? Because that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? They were sitting around talking for so long. I needed a bigger explanation than time remnant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a time remnant.
that's people were saying that in here too. They were talking about the split J theory that they really wanted to hear, and I know a lot of people thought that maybe they're twins going on. I was okay with the explanation though.
It was just, I thought to me it was just a little extra because he got the time remnant, then he convinced him to let him kill him, and was everyone okay with that? Because I was a little, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't slightly disappointed with the reveal. I mean, in how he's Jay. I kind of built it up like, oh, I can't wait to find out how there's so many Jays going around. But that example was kind of, I was like, I mean, that what happened kind of left me wanting.
I mean, I'd agree. Like, I really wanted the split J, the like good and the evil pieces of one man thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought happened. Yeah.
But like, I do think that in terms of just having this character's story go forward, it works more having them be the same person, and so like he can still be responsible for everything he's done. Because if you have like a good Jay and a bad Jay, then like you can't be like, well, you tricked us because that Jay's dead. But now it's like if it's been the Jay this whole time, then you can really play with that and really like have him use the information that he gained as Jay.
People are also talking about alternate versions where he could have gone into the future to get a time remnant, but that wouldn't have worked because if he went into the future without going in the past, he wouldn't have actually saved his life. So there would have been no Jay in the future to go get, because he would have been dead. It gets complicated. It gets really complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost out of time. We've one more important thing to discuss. Does anybody have anything that I would like to hear about time travel?
No time travel?
Yeah.
Time travel's cool.
I mean, it's there.
That was the one thing I want to hear. Great. Okay, the last big moment that I could hear fans still screaming about was the iris.
West Allen, go West Allen, go West Allen.
She's watching Barry and her father interact and like the love between them, and she's just gushing, and then she uses the D word, destiny.
Do you believe
In life after love. Yes.
She looks really
I
good too, by
thought-
the way, in this episode.
She looks
I think I'd pause it to say that out loud to you guys. She is a smoke show.
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh.
I think she looks gorgeous every episode, but I just thought that this was so much. Things between them had been settled for a couple episodes, and to come out and say, "What if this man is my destiny, Barry Allen?" That's huge for the show.
Yeah.
I think that I'm starting to really ship West Allen, which is making me incredibly nervous because the way that they wrote this tonight, like, all signs are pointing to that. It didn't seem like this is everything I've ever wanted and this is where I want to go. It seemed more like, well, if that's going to be the future, maybe I should start it now. I might as well.
Yeah.
All roads lead there. So, but when I finally want them to get together, because I do eventually want them to get together, I want her to be like something. This is like the best feeling I've ever felt. I want him so bad. Not, I think this should happen.
Oh, I don't think it's reluctantly like maybe I'll just do it now. I think that she feels like a little budding inside of her, you know. I am nervous because it was so overt in this episode. Are we meant to be? So that makes me nervous because this show has always given us big, clear setups and then not fulfilled it as a way of surprising viewers, because that's interesting. But I think to tug on this heartstring is going to be really unfair to a lot of us.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tauri?
I mean, I agree with you in that, like, I don't want to feel like she's settling for Barry because she feels like she is destined to. Because, like, it kind of harkens back to when we had Eddie, and he's like, well, apparently I'm never supposed to be with Iris because they're both getting married. And so, like, I like when our characters kind of fight their destiny and try to pave their own way. I mean, but kind of agreeing with Jeff in that it's something she's always been kind of wrestling with. So this might be the last sign that she needed to really like move forward with what she feels.
And maybe at least in her mind, almost make it more appropriate. Like, all right, he's not my blood brother. Like, we can get it on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just
In better words than what I just said.
No, I can't wait till that is said by her.
Excuse me, Barry. You're not my blood brother, so do you want to get it on?
Yes.
I don't know why I gave her a nerd voice. Just like the not nerd of the crew.
I was just happy that that she was second guessing the date with the editor. I'm still
Scott?
I'm still not cool with that.
Scotty
that
doesn't
dating.
know. That
He's an
Irish
attractive guy,
wants
but-
Barry to be
His face is
inside her
perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah, it's
this
perfect.
TV show.
No flaws.
Yeah, just to segue into predictions because we're almost out of time. I do think that we're gonna get a West Allen kiss this season.
Ooh.
Like the finale.
Probably. We have 4 more episodes. I think it's gonna be a development, and I think that season 3, based on this, I have a strong feeling in the deep crevices of my inner gut that we will see possibly them navigating a relationship.
Ooh.
They like to start every season in kind of like polar opposite places than the one before, and I think there's not a bigger change we could have besides like a Wally West thing. But more optimistically, what are you guys looking forward to and or hoping to see?
I think I just got a crazy idea. A crazy prediction.
Do it.
Oh my god, do you
think-
want to tell us about it?
I think Barry might not get his powers back. And what if the way he gets his powers back, it leads to Wally getting his powers? Because now Barry has no powers. So what
Do you
if
think he will not get his powers back?
or say when he gets his powers back, it will affect Wally in some way that it will leave them both with powers.
Well,
Interesting.
I was thinking something similar, but I was thinking almost like, what if the age of Barry Allen as the Flash is over?
No.
Damn, Jeff.
Let me,
They won't
fi-
do
never.
let me finish my prediction.
Lay it on me.
Like, this show is The Flash, so what if Barry was the Flash, and now Wally is picking up and going to be the Flash, and then we're also going to have Lady Speedster, who knows, from a different timeline maybe come back in, and also the daughter,
Jesse Quick.
Jesse Quick.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of interesting to see that, like always having a Flash, but maybe not necessarily Barry, or maybe Barry comes back later on once they figure it out. I just always need a Flash on the show at least because it's called The Flash.
I disagree. I think that this show is the highest rated show on CW right now, and I think that they're not gonna lose their leading man. We like watching the show because we like Grant Gustin as Barry Allen as the Flash. I don't think they're gonna tweak with it that much. What do you got, Tauri?
I just thought about things.
Hey.
So kind of jumping off of yours.
Don't copy me.
I ain't copying it.
That's all I got.
I would like it if instead of Wally becoming the Flash, he helps build a suit that helps Barry run faster and essentially will help spark the tachyon device so that it essentially jumpstarts his speed force, and that's how he gets it back.
Okay.
Because like we've had this arc of Wally developing this new engine that's compact and helps with speed, and so I feel like we have to start using that in order to help get him a part of the team and also get Barry back his powers.
Okay.
I love that prediction, and I think we should end on a high note. Guys, where can they find you throughout the week to tweet with you? Tauri, kick us off.
You can find me at Tauri J, TauriJay.
You guys can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar.
You can find me at Micheal_Drew, Michael EAL.
And I tweet from Jeff Masters 1. We'll see you next week. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.